Thank you very much, for your time here on ENCA. Quite a morbid reality for people in KZN. But let's first start off, before we talk about the possibility of being inundated with, keeping bodies in the morgues. Let's talk about access. Are people even able to bury their loved ones during this long weekend, looking at how bad the roads are currently in KZN?
Good morning and good morning to your viewers. Unfortunately, it seems like some municipalities in certain areas have postponed burials for this coming weekend. And this can only result in congestion of people that need to be buried in the next coming few days. We are hoping that this situation will be resolved quickly and the municipalities can find a way so that these burials can occur. And perhaps also it's time that we may have to consider other types of burials, such as cremations.
Are funeral parlours or undertakers coping in KZN at the moment? I mean, over 300 people have died in just 3 or 4 days, or 2 or 3 actually, because it's since Monday. Are they able to cope?
Well, currently we've had reports from our members that they are currently coping, but as I said, if this continues, obviously they will run out of capacity. I think with the experience of COVID, following the COVID deaths, we are better prepared and we have built more capacity. But certainly if this continues, if people cannot bury or cremations cannot be done on time, then it's going to be a problem going forward.
It's going to add to the backlog that, might already be there, specifically in that province.
Definitely, and we have urged our members to assist each other in the surrounding areas, and also we asked our members that should there be a need for assistance from other provinces, please they must hit the call and get to KZN and assist as much as they can, and also to assist communities there.
Now, you might understand also as Deputy President of the National Funeral Directors Association that, as African people, there's a lot of cultural stuff that happens after a person has passed on during the week of the funeral, etc. Are families understanding, especially in those municipalities that have decided to postpone funerals? I'm sure there are some families where, it's been quite difficult to explain to them that it's not, the funeral director's fault.
I think it is difficult, but with what has happened, I think everyone is seeing for themselves, and the clients get to be more understanding. It's a similar situation during COVID, and unfortunately, we're living in different times. We need to understand, but we do try to ask our members to clearly explain to the families what the situation is, and as soon as they can assist them, they'll be able to assist them.
Talk to me about the emotional turmoil that is being caused by these floods, particularly because at a place like, where people are laid to rest, some places we've seen videos on social media of those places also being flooded and destroyed. People's resting places, which also plays a huge part in cultural stuff that we do as Africans, having sunk into the ground, etc. Looking at that also, as a funeral director, how do you even go about, trying to fix that?
I think it's very difficult, and this is where some of how other municipalities do things. This is what comes into questions. I know some of the cemeteries, especially in the area where I am, when reburials are done, the level is not deep because the cemeteries were not designed for reburials, and this. Situation is like this, you actually think of, God forbid something might happen, and we hope that nothing really happens like we've seen so far in KZN. And it's fairly difficult because in our African tradition, we are used to burying rather than cremating, and now we are forced to look at other ways. And this is it's basically a life-changing experience. And if you think for the examples of New Orleans in the US, where they've had similar instances where they've had floods and you had bodies floating, they considered above ground burial. So perhaps it's about time we look at other forms of burials.
I think maybe it's about time we started looking at cremation. I mean, if you looked at those videos that were circulating around the cemeteries and how, people's tombstones basically sunk into the ground, or, we saw remains having come up from 6 feet under. It's quite devastating to look at that. So maybe it's time, of course, Mr. Lawrence Konyana, as he said, to look at other ways of burying our loved ones. He's the Deputy President of the National Funeral Directors Association. Thank you for your time.